I knew that my life was going to be absolutely, completely different from that point on.
Corey Haim, licensed to drive. Corey Haim was among the most prominent young stars of the 1980s.
Dad, do you think that there's any way you could tell me for sure if I could borrow Mom's car Saturday night?
Here's the deal, Les. First get your license, then we'll talk.
From early in his career, though, Haim struggled with substance use. While filming The Lost Boys, Haim smoked a joint for the first time. Yet, he cited next year's License to Drive as his breaking point. Haim led this teen comedy as Les Anderson, a kid with a car, but no license.
Anderson, the only difference between you and that greaseball is that he has a license and you don't.
Co-star Corey Feldman recalled being high throughout the shoot. Haim also remembered hitting a low point as one drug provided a gateway to an even worse one. The experience marked a turning point for Haim, who checked into rehab. Unfortunately, substance use continued to follow Haim throughout his life, which was cut short when he died from pneumonia in 2010.
But the autopsy ultimately found that the 38-year-old died from pulmonary congestion. A tragic end for the young man who once said, quote, "I want people to think I am just really, really good."
Taylor Momsen, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This former actress turned singer won the role of Cindy Lou Who in Ron Howard's live-action adaptation of The Grinch.
I just don't understand something. Why won't anyone talk about the Grinch?
You kids and the Grinch. You see, Cindy, the Grinch is a well, is actually not a he's more of a
what?
Exactly, honey.
Although it might have seemed like an early Christmas present at the time, the role was far from the gift that keeps giving. In 2023, Momsen revealed that she was made fun of relentlessly growing up because of her involvement in the film. She struggled to make friends at schools where the other kids generally knew her as Cindy Lou Who.
Who knows? This humiliation could change my entire outlook on life!
Really?
No.
Even after she landed a role on Gossip Girl as Jenny Humphrey, Momsen still felt alienated. In addition to being the new girl, she was still the Grinch girl. She would find friendship through her middle school garage band, allowing Momsen to be herself.
Well, I grew up listening to a lot of vinyl. My dad's a big rock and roll fan, so, the first band I ever heard was the Beatles, and they're still my favorite.
Jeanette McCurdy, iCarly. Jeanette McCurdy was pushed into the spotlight by her abusive mother, landing the role of Sam Puckett on iCarly.
Thanks for letting me hang at your place this afternoon. No way I can be around my mom right now. You guys fighting? Nah, she's wearing some gross new perfume. Can you smell it? I just thought your cat peed in the car again. I wish.
Although McCurdy developed a hugely healing friendship with her co-star Miranda Cosgrove, her dynamic with the show's creator contributed to her childhood trauma. In her memoir, McCurdy recounted how the creator pressured her into underage drinking and gave her an unwanted shoulder massage.
What were the pitfalls of child fame?
You're playing an adult's game. You're in an adult's world, and you don't recognize that. You're incapable of being on that level, but you are confused and you think that you are.
The role of Sam also proved difficult for McCurdy, who was coping with anorexia and bulimia while playing a character who's constantly eating. A few years after her mom died, McCurdy left acting in favor of writing and directing. When offered a chance to reprise her role in the iCarly reboot, McCurdy made it clear that she had left Sam Puckett in the past.
I just wish I could have shown my 20-year-old self me now. I would have known what I was aiming for. I would have had something to hope for, something to be encouraged about. I didn't have that.
Judy Garland, The Wizard of Oz. It's a beloved classic, but The Wizard of Oz was also a production nightmare, with Dorothy herself enduring much of the distress.
Are you a good witch or a bad witch? Who, me? I'm not a witch at all. I'm Dorothy Gale from Kansas. Oh. Well, is that the witch? Oh, Toto? Toto's my dog.
While it's been debated whether the Munchkin actors harassed Garland, there's no denying that the studio put her through hell. In addition to working unreasonably long hours, Garland underwent breast binding to appear younger and was essentially starved to keep her weight down.
Metro wanted its 4-foot 11-inch star to maintain a camera-thin 95 pounds. Doctors prescribed the miracle appetite suppressant Benzedrine. Judy lost weight and sleep, necessitating the use of barbiturates.
Although this exhausting shoot wasn't her introduction to drugs, Garland became increasingly reliant on amphetamines and barbiturates. Her substance use didn't end on the yellow brick road. Reflecting on her time at MGM, Garland felt her childhood had been taken away. Her struggles lasted into adulthood, resulting in her premature death from an accidental barbiturate overdose.
Maybe everybody wanted a piece of Judy. Maybe it's just Judy herself. When you have someone with that much talent, the exploitation of it becomes part of the adulation. And I'm sure there was a lot of people around who thought they were doing the right thing.
Gary Coleman, Different Strokes. Gary Coleman was around 10 when he was cast as Arnold Jackson, a role he'd play until age 18.
I've never seen a black goldfish before.
That's okay. He never saw a rich white man before either.
Arnold appeared ageless due to a kidney disease that restricted Coleman's growth. Although Different Strokes made him TV's highest-paid child star for a period, Coleman's medical struggles and long working hours often left him depressed. Coleman's money wasn't in the best hands either, culminating in him suing his adoptive parents and former manager for misusing his trust fund.
You were fleeced. Pretty much. Who walked away with Gary Coleman's millions?
You know, even after the lawsuit was concluded, I still don't know. I don't know where $18 million went.
He received a little over $1 million, only a fraction of the $3.8 million that Coleman felt he was owed. Even after returning to acting, Coleman could never shake his former child star status. Coleman's financial and health issues persisted until he died in 2010.
Gary Coleman, who as a boy provided so much amusement, so many laughs on the hit show Different Strokes, died today in a Utah hospital 2 days after suffering a brain hemorrhage. He was just 42 years old and he battled illness throughout his life.
Drake Bell, The Amanda Show. Drake Bell's rise as a Nickelodeon star began on The Amanda Show, playing characters like Totally Kyle and Tony Pajamas.
I didn't have any dinner tonight.
Yeah.
And it was to my understanding there was gonna be food backstage.
Uh-huh.
Well, there wasn't any. I'm starving over here. Could you get me like a sandwich or something?
Have no sandwiches.
Oh, can we order in or something? You know, some hot wings?
The sketch comedy series launched him into fame, but it led to possibly the darkest period of Bell's life. Working on the show, he regularly interacted with dialogue coach Brian Peck. While Bell's father had suspicions about Peck, others assumed he was just being friendly.
He just seemed like any other nice coworker, you know, at that point.
Before moving on to Drake and Josh, Bell was sexually abused at the hands of Peck, who'd only be sentenced to 16 months. Bell's career proceeded, although the trauma stuck with him as he faced other personal demons. After keeping his pain buried for years, Bell spoke publicly about the abuse for the first time in 2024, beginning the healing process.
Have you ever told your story publicly before?
I've never told my story publicly. No.
Jake Lloyd, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Jake Lloyd beat out more than 3,000 actors in the running for Anakin Skywalker.
You're a funny little boy. How do you know so much?
I listen to all the traders and star pilots who come through here. I'm a pilot, you know, and someday I'm gonna fly away from this place.
Although it seemed like the role of a lifetime, there was a darker side to playing such an iconic character. As an adult, Lloyd claimed that he left acting due in part to the press's negative reception and mistreatment from his peers. There was more to the story, as Lloyd was also dealing with personal and mental health struggles, eventually receiving a paranoid schizophrenia diagnosis.
So I get some pretty crazy questions, and I get a lot of people asking me a lot of random stuff.
The retired actor has learned to cope with his condition and has even embraced Star Wars again. Lloyd's mother feels her son was shielded from the worst of the Phantom Menace backlash growing up. Even so, Lloyd's upbringing might have been easier without Anakin.
Anakin, training to become a Jedi is not an easy challenge. And even if you succeed, it's a hard life.
But I want to go. It's what I've always dreamed of doing.
Anissa Jones, Family Affair. There's an urban legend that Family Affair is cursed, misfortune befalling several cast members.
Who's he? He's the maid. Does he like kids? I don't think so. Could he run fast? No.
Anissa Jones, who played the pig-tailed Buffy, was the first to suffer tragedy. To maintain a youthful appearance throughout the show's 5-season run, Jones had her chest bound and was obligated to carry a Mrs. Beasley doll around.
Do you think I'm too old to play as Mrs. Beasley?
Well, you're getting to be a pretty big girl. What's that all about, Mrs. Beasley?
By age 9, Jones started to feel embarrassed and repressed pretending to be a 6-year-old. Jones couldn't find work after the show ended, while also finding herself at the center of a custody battle. Co-star Kathy Garver feels that Jones fell into drugs as a form of rebellion, having been forced to play a little girl for so long. Jones was just entering adulthood when an accidental overdose claimed her life in 1976.
Paramedics tried to revive Anissa, but it was too late. She was declared dead on the afternoon of August 28th.
Bobby Driscoll, Peter Pan. For several years, Bobby Driscoll was Disney's go-to child star, leading films like Song of the South and Treasure Island. His most famous role was arguably the voice of Peter Pan.
My stories?
But they're all about you.
Of course. That's why I like them. I tell them to the lost boys.
Despite playing the boy who never grows up, Driscoll was going through puberty. No longer sure what to do with him, Disney ended Driscoll's contract. He was subsequently enrolled in public high school, where Driscoll was mocked for his child star days. While Driscoll later switched schools, his future was riddled with substance use and legal troubles. Driscoll still found occasional acting work, although nobody recognized him when his body was discovered in 1968. Succumbing to heart failure, Driscoll was buried in an unmarked grave before the authorities connected the dots. Mika Dinley and Renee Shin-Yi Chen, Twilight Zone the movie. Twilight Zone the movie would go down as one of the most notorious productions in Hollywood history, costing 3 actors their lives. Renee Shin-Yi Chen and Mika Dinley were cast in director John Landis' segment as 2 Vietnamese orphans.
I'm American! I'm American! I'm American!
In the intended scene, Vic Morrow's bigoted character was supposed to find redemption by rescuing the children as a helicopter attacked their village. This scene didn't make the final cut, as the helicopter crashed, killing Morrow and his 2 co-stars.
That crash occurred last summer when the helicopter evidently got too close to some special effects explosions. That damaged the chopper and it plummeted to the ground, striking the 3 people on the ground.
The shoot broke multiple child labor laws, making the young actors work after hours and around explosives no less. While Landis and his associates were found not guilty, many still accused the director of putting his cast in harm's way.
Our being found not guilty doesn't change the tragedy. It doesn't change the accident.
Which child star story shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments.
I ain't got no more hard feelings, Vern. You want to shake on it?